Yo, just finished reading Leviathan's Wake by James S.A. Corey, the first novel in the series which I guess is known as The Expanse. Yeah. Since I just finished it, I'm kind of caught up in how it ended at the moment, but I'm trying to talk about the rest of the book. This is kind of a space opera type novel where the basic concept revolves around a future where humanity has colonized some of the solid places in our solar system, basically, and did so long enough ago that there are noticeable physical differences between people who live in different places. From people on Mars simply being somewhat lighter than people on Earth to people who live in the belt, the asteroid belt, called belters, being something like a foot taller and quite a bit skinnier. And so it's like, there's a visual difference, there's a cultural difference too, and of course everybody kind of doesn't like each other. And then some stuff goes down, so there's kind of like two plots which converge, and one involves some ships getting destroyed under very strange circumstances, and the other involves a detective being given the assignment to look for a missing young woman. She just doesn't want to go back to her family, even though she's an adult, so he's like, okay, I'll look for her, but this is a kidnap job. And the situation keeps escalating politically and just getting wilder and wilder, and then it gets into some kind of, how shall I put it, it turns out that there's something very strange going on with an alien molecule, and then there's some kind of wonderful descriptions of just something totally alien and disgusting and kind of like mutated, infecting some people. Yeah, I don't know, I'm trying not to be spoilery, but also I want to talk about the ending, so I'm kind of trying to square these two things. How am I going to do that? Whatever. So I have no earthly clue what the rest of the series is going to be about. I also don't understand how they're making a TV show of this. Like, whatever. I haven't watched any of the show. I kind of want to, but maybe at some point I'll do it. But like, see, the thing about this series is that I am not even entirely sure it's going to follow the same cast of characters through the books. Like, okay, fine, time to talk about the ending. Spoiler alert, but at the end of this book, one of the characters basically dies. Like, there are two major characters, Miller and Holden. Miller basically dies, or maybe is transformed into something else. But either way, he is no longer Miller, and, like, I'm not really sure how you would go on with his character after that. So I'm inclined to think you wouldn't. Holden, maybe, but I don't know if this is a series that actually follows the characters and continues the plot right off in the next book, or if it's like more expansive than that. But I'll find out when I read the second book, which I totally will. Okay, anyway, so I liked it. I don't know if I said that already. I liked it. I didn't think it was, like, amazingly written or anything. And I wish I'd been more invested in the main characters. Actually, really, I wish I'd been more invested in, like, the side characters. Because I was like, oh, yeah, they're all fine. But I didn't care that much about them, and I feel like I only really cared about Holden and Miller because, like, you're in their heads. And occasionally, there's some pathos. I don't know. It's a stupid thing to complain about, considering that I will forgive Asimov for writing completely dull, uninteresting characters any day of the week. But whatever. I don't know. I just feel like telling me on the back of this that it's the science fictional equivalent of A Song of Ice and Fire really brings the expectations up way too high. But that could be just because I think A Song of Ice and Fire is one of the best things I have ever read, insofar as character development goes, and also giving all the characters unique voices. And I felt like the characters, like, I didn't think Holden and Miller had very different voices in this. Like, they're definitely different people, but their chapters still basically sound the same. But you know what? This is a good book, and I want to read the next one. Although I have like a couple books I kind of have to read first. I mean, remember my challenge. Next, I am going to start that. But I really wish I could just go to the library tomorrow and get Caliban's War, which I think is the next one. And also, I feel like the title like really refers to something that happens at the end, so that's kind of, I don't know. But you know what? You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say that I liked it, it was good, and it was basically like, hell yeah, space opera. This is the kind of stuff that I enjoy, and I also really like the cover. So it's kind of a painting of a spaceship and an asteroid of some sort, and they're, you know, it very much appeals to me. Oh, well, there's more of it on the back. There's like another asteroid back here. Okay, whatever. That's my jam. But, it's the first in a series, so I can only assume that the books are just going to get better. Which is not to say this isn't a good book, because it is, but like, I don't know. I have no idea. I think my favorite thing about it, as far as world building goes, is I like that even though there does exist some, you know, some pretty impressive like space technology that enables people to like live and to like make the spaceships move quickly, it's still nothing that breaks the laws of physics. Like, they talk a lot about how many G's the characters are getting. There's this entire section in the middle where a couple of the characters are exposed to a lot of radiation and are really sick as a result. There's like some really great bits where a ship fires like missiles at another ship, but they're so far away from one another that they're actually just going to be like sitting there unable to avoid being hit for like a week before the impact is actually made. So like stuff like that I really liked. So yeah, I really want to read the sequel. And I will do that soon, hopefully. Next book I finished, Jane Unlimited by Kristin Cashore. So this is a young adult book that ended up on my to-read list, I think because it was on someone's best of 2017 book list. And I think I probably put it on there because the summary was interesting to me, because the main premise of the book is actually pretty cool. Like, basically this character Jane, her late aunt made her promise that if she ever got invited to a party at this house called Two Rivières, she would go. So she does get invited, and she does go. And, like, it's this big, massive, like, mansion on an island off New York, I think. And it's kind of a weird place. Like, the family is all kind of strange, and the servants are all kind of strange, but there's this, the interesting thing about it, though, is that at one point in the story, there's a point where she has a decision to make, and it's basically just which of these 5 people, well, one's a dog, which of these 5 individuals will she go and talk to next? And, like, then the book kind of splits, and you have 5 different stories, each of which follows one of those people. So it's like, in the first universe, she chooses to go talk to, I think it was Mrs. Vanders. In the second universe, she chooses to go talk to, I don't know, one of the other people. And then it just goes down the list. And it took a little while to get to that point, and I was sitting there listening to it like, okay, I thought it was going to be like a big split, and then it was. And I was like, all right, fine. It just took a little bit to get there. I was worried that that wouldn't be the case. It's kind of a weird moment, though. Like, it's very obvious what's going to happen in that moment because it is so highlighted, even though, like, it is literally just her being like, man, who should I go talk to? Which part of the house should I go to from where I'm standing right now? It's, like, literally the smallest thing. But there's some stuff about, you know, how isn't it strange that the decisions we make could affect, like, so much, even random decisions could affect our lives, like, down the line for so far. So every story is quite different. And the author does a good job of keeping it from getting dull, because, like, in each one, she discovers different strange things about the house and the people in it, and about reality. And they get, like, weirder as it goes on. Which is kind of a good direction, I think. I think my favorite one was probably the third one, because that's the one where she decides to look into where the missing second wife of the dad has gone, and it gets very surreal and strange. I don't want to really spoil it at all by telling you how, but it gets really weird. And there's a lot of stuff about, like, alternate universes. I mean, one of the stories, the fourth story, actually, involves literal alternate universes. So, like, that's just kind of the theme through the whole thing. And the other thing that I liked was, basically in each story, obviously, you're learning things, and then you get to the next story, and Jane, of course, is in a different kind of split-off reality and doesn't know the stuff you've already learned. And sometimes she learns some of it, and sometimes she doesn't learn it at all. So there's some where it's like these art thieves are uncovered, but in the other realities, some of them they are, but in another one's like they aren't at all, and then it's like no one knows this painting's a fake, and you're sitting there like, Urgh. But, yeah. And there's a lot of stuff about her and this girl, Ivy, that she has a major crush on. And there's so, like, whether they end up together or, like, possibly might end up together kind of after the story stops, but reality for her would continue, you know, like, if she were real. Anyway, yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good, and I liked it, and I obviously normally don't read YA much, because I don't really like I don't like, if it's a bad YA book, then I'm not going to like anything about it. If it's a good one, the only thing that really bothers me is just kind of, I don't like the sort of juvenile tone of it, I guess, but it doesn't really matter. Also, I was reading the biography of the lady who wrote it, and I was laughing because she went to this college in Boston that my friend is going to, and that my friend thinks is, like, run by crazy people and is extremely stupid. But hey, it might have been, you know, a different part of this particular college. Oh god, okay. Yeah, so it was good, and I liked listening to it, and see you next time. Hey everybody, I finished The Dragons of Eden by Carl Sagan. So this was the book that I own and wanted to actually read, and picked out of the cup of books I own and need to read. So I'm gonna pick another one when I'm done talking about this, but yeah, so this is indeed nonfiction, and it's essentially a series of essays where Carl Sagan talks about the evolution of the brain and of human intelligence, and speculates on what might come next, or how this fits in with things like dreams. I thought it was interesting. It is a topic I find to be really interesting, but, like, the problem is this book was published in, like, 1977. So I had to take basically everything in it with a grain of salt, because, like, that was 40 years ago. And, yeah, I know. Jesus. Right? But, like, so I would say if you actually want to learn about the evolution of the brain, you should probably read a newer book. Just because, you know, that's always my thing. Like, I read a lot of older books, but I tend to try and stay away from older nonfiction because, especially with science, it's like I don't know enough about the topic to know what's outdated. Yeah. So I kinda probably wouldn't have chosen to read this if it hadn't been for this challenge that I set myself, and if I hadn't, you know, if I'd actually known it was nonfiction instead of thinking that it was fiction because of the title. But, that said, I did enjoy it. There was this whole part where he speculates about computers, and it's like, oh my god. And he correctly predicts that within a generation, people will be very used to using computers and do it on a daily basis. Also, in his last bit, he goes through a whole list of, like, stupid conspiracies that people are into. He's like, there is today in the West a resurgent interest in vague, anecdotal, and often demonstrably erroneous doctrines, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then he lists all the stuff, including astrology, the Bermuda Triangle mystery, flying saucer accounts in general, the belief in ancient astronauts, the photography of ghosts, etc. He's got, like, this entire page. Scientology. I'm like, oh boy, buddy. It didn't go away. Yeah. Kind of depressing. But the thing is that I think almost any time period in history can look at what people believe and be like, oh my god, what are we doing? So we're probably gonna be okay. But yeah, so it was interesting. Also it has this like piece of art by M.C. Escher that I've never seen before, and I really enjoyed, and I wanted to show you. Like there's like chameleons in a shape. I don't know, it's weird. I love it. So yeah, I liked it. I do want to read other things by Carl Sagan, but maybe stay away from the biological sciences a bit, because it's like, it's an area where we have learned so much in the last few decades that it's kind of like, I don't know how much of this is accurate anymore. Some of it I'm sure still is, but like, it's not my subject, so I don't really know. Okay, so I'm gonna pick another book out of this shake it. Oh god. I really hope I don't pick 7 Pillars of Wisdom. Like, that's literally all I'm saying. All I'm hoping. God, they're all, like, stuck together. Okay, please don't be 7 Pillars of... Oh my god, of course. I picked 7 Pillars of Wisdom. Fuck. Oh, where is it? Are you fucking kidding me? The one book... Ugh, so long. Alright, anyway. I do want to read it. I'm just whining because, like... God. So where does this end? I'm trying to figure out how long this is. Nope. Something about Damascus? Alright, I'm thinking it's about 660 pages, which... It's got some art. Though I don't know where the fuck it comes from. Sexy dude. Look who painted this. Yeah, so a triumph. Yeah, anyway, well, I have actually started reading this book before. I read, like, roughly a third. I'm not really sure how far I got. But it's so whiny. No, it's, if you've heard of the movie Lawrence of Arabia, that movie is based on this memoir. It is about T.E. Lawrence's time working for the British Army and with the Bedouin tribes of Arabia to fight the Ottoman Turks during World War I. And even just the parts I read, he does not have a fun time. Some pretty bad things happen. He does some pretty bad things, and pretty bad things happen to him. And, like, it's going to be depressing, but I really do want to read it, because, I don't know, I just do. I find T.E. Lawrence to be interesting, and I should probably finally actually read something that he wrote, like, you know, this. So, catch ya whenever the hell I finish it. Might be in forever.